Welcome to Throttle Only. My name is Nate. This is a 2024 Toyota Tundra Limited. Let's check it out. So before we jump on into this review here, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for watching my content. Thank you for liking and subscribing. It really means a lot to me. So first off, let's talk about this beautiful paint color here. So this paint color is Lunar Rock, and man, this is probably one of my favorite paint colors on any truck. So let's talk about this hood here. This hood has a lot of body lines on it, and I think it works very well. Keep in mind, this is not the TRD Pro, so I don't expect it to be too aggressive. And as we make our way down to the front here with this massive grille, if you look closely at that paint, there is a lot of specs in it. There's also a pretty big Toyota logo in there, and it also has a front camera. And overall, if you're wondering why this grille might look a little bit better than the others, it's because this one has a chrome delete. As you make your way down just a little bit, you have all your radar, cruise, and sensing technology right there at the bottom. And then beneath that, there's a pretty nice Tundra logo. And at the very bottom here, I love this design because it makes it look like there's a black skid plate underneath, even though it's just plastic. And lastly, let's take a look at these headlights here because they look very good. I love the design in the middle when the LED projectors are on. This also has a pretty nice daytime running lamp as well. And when the turn signals are turned on, it has a sequential amber turn signal, which just looks absolutely beautiful. Underneath the headlights here, it has a very nice design. There's some venting there that looks very good, and it is functional as well. And underneath, it also has fog lights that are integrated into the bumper. And moving on to the side of the vehicle here, let's just take a second to appreciate all of these body lines and all the dimension that this thing has. And now looking at these 20-inch wheels here at the front and the rear, there are two 65/60 size tires front and rear, by the way, but I really love the color of these wheels. I think the contrast works really well against this Lunar Rock paint color. Now, as we go ahead and move on up, just where these fender flares are, these are probably the most beautiful fender flares or trim that I've really ever seen. It matches the front grille. It just has so many specs in it, and it looks so amazing. Now, as we come up and look at these mirrors here, so these mirrors are absolutely massive. It has the LED indicator on the outside there. It also has blind spot monitoring as well. And then underneath the mirror, there is a camera because this does have full surround view cameras. Now, just below those mirrors, there's a giant Tundra badge there in black, and I think that looks pretty good too. And then looking at these black door handles, which matches pretty well. As you open them, this does have an aftermarket part where it has Gator running boards, and so as I open up the vehicle, the running boards will come down, and then as I close the door, the running boards will go ahead and retract back up into the body of the vehicle. Towards the back door here, there is a limited badge here as well. And lastly, as we head on to the rear here, we have the fuel door on the driver's side. There's also one exhaust tip that extends behind the rear wheel, and there's also a step to help you get into the bed. So there are some aftermarket options on this vehicle. The chrome delete, this does have a 2-inch lift on it, and it does have electronic running boards. So now at the rear of the Tundra here, starting at the very top on the roof, there is a shark fin antenna. And then coming on down just a little bit there, you do have a bed camera as well as bed lights. And then on top of the bed here, this is an aftermarket part as well. This is a tonneau cover by Gator. And here's a look at the rear window, which you can raise and lower with just the press of a button. On top of that truck bed there, there's also a nice Tundra badge. And of course, the giant Tundra badge that you can see in black lettering on the very back of that tailgate. And then right where the tailgate handle is, there is also another camera and a light. And wrapping up the rear exterior styling here, on the other side, there's a 4x4 badge. And then getting into the vehicle on the bumper, there's some nice rugged material so that you don't slip. There's also a tow attachment on this vehicle. And then underneath, it does have a full-size spare. And lastly, as we take a look at these tail lamps, I think they look great. There are 3 elongated strips in red. And when you turn on the turn signals or the hazards, it does have a sequential turn signal. First, it'll illuminate fully and then sequentially turn off. So now with the gate down, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the tonneau cover. There's these little latches you'll just have to undo on both sides. And then you can flip up one of the tops. And then just make sure to lay your handles flat. And then you can flip up the last portion of the tonneau cover and strap it in. So here's what the bed looks like with the tonneau cover all the way up. And this does have the sprayed in liner here, so you don't have paint that's gonna scratch. It's very rigid. You have some nice LED lights here. A nice Tundra logo there in the back. You also have a 120 volt adapter here. And then you can see all of your attachments here on the side, and there's also some in the back here as well. Here is a look at all the different trims that are available for the 2024 Toyota Tundra. Starting at the bottom, the first model out of 8 is the SR, then the SR5, Limited, Platinum, 1794 edition, TRD Pro, 1794 edition Limited, and lastly, Capstone. Under the hood, there's a 3.4 liter twin turbo iForce V6 engine. It produces 389 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission, 4-wheel drive. It has a curb weight of 5,700 pounds. It has a towing capacity of 10,970 pounds. And for the fuel economy, it gets 18 in the city and 23 on the highway. So here's a look at the rear door panels here. We're going to start at the top with the materials. So this is some hard plastic material, but it looks like it's leather. And you have a nice strip of what looks like some darkened chrome. And then same thing here for the handle. I really love that. It also has some pretty nice sparkles if that's picking up on camera. Some more of this leather plastic looking material. A decently padded armrest here for the passengers in the back. A window switch. Some more of that really nice material there. A small little speaker grill. Another speaker grill down here. And then you also have some storage down below in these two areas right here. So now sitting inside of the Toyota Tundra, sitting behind myself at 6'1", I have ample room for my legs and my feet, no issues whatsoever. These seats are also extremely comfortable. The headrests are pretty plush as well. In the very center here, we have a pretty nice area for your arms, and then 2 cup holders. Down below, there's some pretty nice rugged floor mats as well. And then in the very center, there's some more cup holders. And then there's also a little bit of storage space. And you also have some accessory outputs like a 120 volt, 1 USB Type-C, and 1 USB Type-A. If you're looking for a little bit more room here in the back, you can also fold down these seats as well. That way you can fit some bigger items in here. So here's a look at the driver's side here. We're gonna start at the top here. There's some pretty nice material here. It's very thin. And you have this really nice like brushed aluminum look. I really love the look at that handle. And this is some hard plastic material there. A decently padded armrest here. Unlock and locking controls here, 1 window switch. Some gloss black material. Some more of this really nice material we saw up there. A little area for some storage there. Some more storage down below. And there's also a speaker grill here. And then coming on into the vehicle here, there's no sill or anything, but you do have some nice automatic seat controls there. I really love the look of these seats as well. This pattern looks so nice. These are heated and ventilated, by the way. And let's see how padded this headrest is. Yeah, this headrest is very nice. And then in front of the passenger there, pretty good sized glove box. Some nice material here on the dash. And then behind this infotainment screen, there is a little bit of storage right here. It does have a 12-volt adapter there as well. So on the driver's side, it's the same thing we saw on the passenger side, except you have more window switches here. And of course you can control the mirrors as well. Nice storage. Same beautiful seats here, heated and ventilated. And down below we have some nice rubber pedals here. And I forgot to mention these really nice Tundra floor mats as well. You can see they're already getting dirtied up pretty well. Now here's a look at this center console slash armrest area. In the back here we have 2 cup holders for the passengers there. And there's 2 areas for storage here in the middle. And this one you can just easily slide back. And this is where you can keep your arms here. And it's decently padded on both sides. And the passenger and the driver can easily just open up this center console area by pushing one of these buttons here. And push that, and then open it on up. And there's a light in here so you can see things at nighttime. There's a USB Type-A, a USB Type-C here, and you can see just all of the storage in here. And there's also a small little area for some coins right there. And closing it on up. There's some cup holders in front of that. Some more storage here. Our wireless charger. Here's your shift lever right there. You have a brake hold button, also an electronic parking brake. And here are your 4-wheel drive modes, 2 high, 4-wheel drive high, and 4 low. And you can easily toggle between the drive modes using this beautiful rotary dial right here. And you also have a tow and haul mode right there. And using this rotary dial, just quickly turn it like this and you can change drive modes. And that's what this looks like, normal and sport. So in front of the shifter, we have these really nice toggle buttons here. This is your backup guide button, your camera button, and pushing that, it'll bring up a surround view camera. And I can also put it into drive and it'll show you some other camera angles here as well. So here's the front camera, and you can see here at the bottom there are a bunch of different angles. Here's the rear camera. Here are the front wheels, and here are the rear wheels, and you can see there are also some different angles I can choose from if I go all the way this way or all the way on this side here. And there's a bed camera, and then you can also have your auto camera on as well. And coming on back to these toggle buttons here, this will be your traction control off button and your hazards button, and then 3 blank switches here. Below the center display here, we have all the climate control options, and on the left here, here's a nice rotary dial for the music. There's a heated seat option here as well as a ventilated seat option, all of which have 3 different toggle modes on them. And you can see here there's also a nice little LCD display there. You can easily see and toggle these little buttons to choose whatever you want here. And then on the right side here, there's one USB type A. So here's a look at this giant infotainment screen here. On the left side, we have all of our shortcuts. Starting at the bottom, there's settings. You have personal information, you have Bluetooth, general, where you can adjust the accessibility, the date, time, keyboard, language, and units. Notifications, Wi-Fi, display, sound and media, vehicle customize. You can customize the lights, the door controls, the boarding and exit. There's dealer information, information and security, software updates, as well as applications. Of course, this has remote connect where you can use your phone to control the vehicle. And then under the vehicle tab, there's trip information as well as vehicle alert. You can look at the current, and you can also look at the history for the miles per gallon or fuel economy. Vehicle alerts. There's phone. I have Apple CarPlay connected currently, as well as music, Apple CarPlay. And then navigation, you can also connect your Apple CarPlay and use that instead if you would like. On the right side of the steering wheel, there's the engine start stop button as well as your trailer controls. On the left side of the steering wheel, starting at the top left here, we have a truck bed light. Then your auto high beams button, your auto engine off button. You can adjust the brightness here, as well as look at your trip data on the odometer. You can turn off your parking sensors in the rear. This also has a heated steering wheel option, and you can also toggle your AC 120 volt. And now looking at the steering wheel, starting in the middle with this nice Toyota logo here. This is a leather steering wheel. You can really tell here up at the top, there are some perforations along the side here. And then also on the side, you have some media controls such as your volume. You also have your voice assistant and your phone button. And then these buttons here, as well as your back button, can control this little area on your digital instrument gauge cluster here on the left side. And then on the right side of the steering wheel, the mode and the arrow buttons here can control your media, and the rest is for cruise control. You have lane keep. You can change the distance from the car in front of you, activate or deactivate cruise control. You can also cancel it and then increase or decrease your speed. So now let's look at the digital instrument gauge cluster using these little areas right here. So on the left side here, you can change this area. First, I'll look at the eco modes, and you can scroll up or down. And then you can also see at the very top there, there's also another menu. So if I just scroll over, then now I'm in navigation. Then there's also media. And this is your trailer information here. And this also has some areas you can scroll, tire pressure, trip distance, stuff like that. You can also scroll over to your menu settings here and turn on or off all of the safety features for the vehicle. And then lastly, you also have messages. Now, if you want to change the right side of this digital instrument gauge cluster, you'll have to go back to settings here and scroll all the way down to where it says customize right side and press OK. And then now you can choose what you want to see on the other side here is your tow gauges. You can also look at your boost gauge. And lastly, you can just have it off. And before we head on out, here's a look at the key fob, your standard controls there, and you also have a button in the middle to let down the tailgate. All right, so now driving the Toyota Tundra Limited, we're gonna go ahead and try a POV review type deal here instead of the standard POV experience that I usually do. I think this might be a little bit better. That way you can actually see what it's like driving this thing. So currently I'm in eco mode. This will get the best gas mileage possible here. We'll do it 0 to 60 as soon as I can. And the suspension on this feels pretty good. Going over speed bumps and everything feel totally fine and nice and cushioned. The steering is pretty light as well. I'd say it's equivalent to like a comfort mode. And then this does have a bunch of different drive modes, and you can easily just toggle from here. And then when you do that, nothing really happens with the steering, at least that I can feel. It pretty much feels the same even in sport. But we'll go ahead and try some 0 to 60s. We'll start in eco mode, then normal, and then we'll do a sport as well. So as far as visibility in this, visibility is pretty good. I mean, these mirrors are absolutely gigantic. And you do have the blind spot monitoring system in there that I mentioned earlier in the video, which helps. But I think probably the best thing here is this digital camera here, this digital rear view mirror. And if you want to flip that off, you can just easily do so. All you have to do is just push this little button forward. All right, so let's do some 0 to 60s here. I'm not going to brake boost it because I'm just curious what it'll be like just sitting at a stoplight. Okay. There's 60, that's not too bad. So if you want to use the manual modes here, since this doesn't have any paddle shifters, you can just slide the shifter here to the left. And then to decrease your gear, you have to pull towards you, which is kind of the opposite of what I think is intuitive. And then you can, if you try to shift too early, it'll beep at you. So first gear is first gear ends at about 17 miles an hour. That's funky. So I have a little bit of a curve up here, but I'm curious if I can get to 60 before I hit that curb. We're gonna go to normal mode here and just floor it. Let me wake up the engine first. There we go. All right. Oh. A little bit of spin there. Yeah, that's really not too bad at all. So I have some shorts if you want to look at that. I was getting about 6.5 seconds, and I was using 4 high to do that. Currently I am in two-wheel drive high, where it's using the rear wheels. And that's usually where you'll be anyway. For this sport mode section here where I do the 0 to 60, I'll go ahead and put it into 4 high, and we'll see how that does after we get around this corner here. So this does have a pretty good amount of body roll, but again, this one does have the aftermarket 2-inch lift, so of course that's not going to really help that situation whatsoever. But with that 2-inch lift, I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier in the video, but this can actually fit 35 to 37-inch tires, which is pretty cool. Currently it doesn't have those size tires on right now, but once they do and they have like all-terrain, it would look really cool. So let's try a 0 to 60 here in the sport mode, and I have it in 4 high. And I won't brake boost this one either. I'll just make sure that it doesn't do the engine start-stop thing. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's 60. Yeah, that's respectable for sure. So coming on back down to eco mode, because really, this isn't meant to be going fast, but it's nice to know that it has that power, especially for the towing. That's definitely really good. So guys, this is a really spacious vehicle. I mean, very similar to how other trucks are as well, but I really enjoy driving this thing. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the 2024 Toyota Tundra Limited. If you did, consider liking, leave a comment down below, subscribe to help me grow. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.